think so.
Nowadays, air pollution is one of the biggest problems on Earth. It makes an impact to our health, although some people don't realize a health problem which came from the air pollution. In the future, it will grow bigger and be chronic to their body. There are many diseases which relate to air pollution problem, for example, lung cancer, asthma, and emphysema. If we don't pay attention to this huge problem, it will be worse and affect to humans, environment, even animals. So we have 4 solutions to solve the problem which came from the air pollution. The first solution is people should decrease using a personal car. Maybe you don't know that a combustion in cars emit gas which contain carbon monoxide. This gas will attach to red blood cells and make the cell holding less oxygen. So our body may be fatigued easily because of lacking of the oxygen. Furthermore, the car releases carbon dioxide, other hydrocarbon gases, and sulfur dioxide gas that change rain to acid rain. To decrease the use of personal cars, we should promote people to use public transportation like bus and subway or SkyTrain like BTS. Some people think that although the public transportation like the subway doesn't use a fuel directly, it uses an electricity which may come from petrol or natural gas to run the train. And a result must be similar to using their own car. But truly, the public transportation is more efficient than the personal cars because it can load much people than the car on each trip. So the amount of gas which came from public transportation per person is less than gas which came from the car. However, the amount of bad gas which came from public transportation depends on how country produce an electricity. If some countries have many alternative energy sources, using public transportation will be better. The second way to reduce using personal cars is walking on short distance traveling. This is the best way because it doesn't produce any harm gas to an atmosphere. If walking is so tiring, bicycling is a good way too. Furthermore, we can support this solution by going with people who ride car to same distance. Most students at university have used personal cars to go to class. Some of them may have siblings who study in same university, so they can go to campus together in same car. Maybe we can pick up some family member or neighbor who want to drop on train station or bus station where we pass.
The second solution is using renewable energy, which produce electricity by environmentally friendly process. Nowadays, main energy resource used to produce electricity is fossil fuel. That is a conventional energy resources such as petroleum, coal, and natural gas. Conventional energy is also termed as non-renewable energy sources. Their use leads to increased greenhouse gas emission and other environmental damage. One part of generating electricity process is combustion. Combustion or burning is a high-temperature exothermic chemical reaction between a fuel and an oxidant, usually atmospheric oxygen. Burning reaction produce oxidized, often gaseous product. In a mixture term as smoke, such as nitrogen oxide, sulfur dioxide, and carbon dioxide. In process, burning releases huge amount of carbon emission. It causes air pollution and effect to environment, health, and building. In addition, the biomass energy also have combustion process and release carbon emission like the fossil fuel. So, we should use renewable energy instead of conventional energy. Renewable energy generally refer to energy that is collected from renewable resources such as sunlight, wind, rain, tide, wave, and geothermal heat. Renewable energy can work to cut down on carbon emission. Next, we will mention about example of the renewable energy, that is solar power.
Hi.
Solar power can produce electricity and energy by solar panel. Solar panel converted sunlight into electricity by exciting electron in silicon cell using the photon of light from the sun. This process does not have carbon emission. It's zero pollution. Besides the energy which from renewable resources, nuclear energy is also renewable energy. Although the fuel of nuclear energy, that is uranium, is restricted resources, nuclear energy is considered clean energy as a form of low carbon emission and can produce enormous energy. Nuclear power plants have interesting process. It uses nuclear fission, which means that the atoms split into smaller atoms releasing energy to create electricity. Nuclear energy is nice, but is not used generally because it's relatively risky. Furthermore, other renewable energy such as wind power, hydropower, and thermal heat power can also produce electricity without emitting toxic gas too. Therefore, using renewable energy is environmentally friendly process and can be reduce air pollution problem. The first solution is decreasing burning trashes. Incineration is considered a quick and easy way to dispose of waste. But did you know that unregulated trash burn around the globe is pumping far more pollution into the atmosphere than shown by official record? A new study led by National Center of Atmospheric Resource estimates that more than 40% of the world's garbage is burned in such fires, emitting gases and particles that can substantially affect human health and climate change. The new study provides the first rough estimates on a country-by-country basis of pollutants such as particulates, carbon monoxide, and mercury that are emitted by the fires. Such pollutants have been linking to serious medical issues. The researchers also estimate emissions from carbon dioxide, the most common greenhouse gas produced by human activities. Unlike emissions from commercial incinerators, the emission from burning trash is open fires often go unreported to environmental agencies and are left out of many national inventories of air pollution. For the reason, they are not incorporated into policy making. Air pollution across much of the globe is significantly underestimated because no one is tracking open fires burning of trash. The uncontrolled burning of trash is a major source of pollutant, and ones that should receive more attention. Because trash burning is unregulated and unmonitored, actual emission could be larger or smaller to the studies estimated by a factor of 2. Still, the analysis represents the most comprehensive effort to date to account for emission from trash burning. And if you burn plastic, which contains sulfur, chlorine, and fluorine, it can release dioxin. If it has entered the environment or our bodies, they are there to stay due to their uncanny ability to dissolve in fats and to their rock-solid chemical stability, and it can cause cancer. And it can release hydrogen fluoride gas, even at low levels, can irritate the eyes, nose, and respiratory tract. Breathing in hydrogen fluoride at high level or in combination with skin contact can cause death from an irregular heartbeat or from fluid buildup in lungs.
The fourth solution is planting more trees. For the cause of this problem, the main source of carbon dioxide emissions are not only key drivers of air pollution, but also a major source of climate change. Planting enough trees would be the most effective way to successfully overcome climate change and air pollution. It's something we can easily do now by each of us helping plant a tree. Too much carbon dioxide in the atmosphere holds the sun's heat in like a blanket, causing serious change in global temperatures. Trees take this carbon dioxide out of the air as they grow, storing it as wood while also helping to store more carbon in the soil below them. Planting enough trees can restore balance to our atmosphere by converting the excess carbon dioxide into healthy ecosystems and into thousands of useful resources that people need. While trees' ability to remove carbon dioxide and restore balance to our atmosphere is simply amazing, there are four additional ways that trees help keep the planet. First, trees create clouds that help cool the earth. The clouds that are created by trees and forests play a huge role in keeping the earth cool by reflecting the sun's heat back into space before it reaches the earth. This cloud could cool the earth enough to counteract climate change. Second, forests keep the ground cool. Forests' mighty canopy shade the ground and water beneath them. This keeps the earth cooler and protects the living soil. This is very important as living soil can store an incredible amount of carbon, keeping climate change causing carbon dioxide out of our atmosphere. When soil becomes too hot and dry, the carbon molecules in the soil rebond with oxygen and release carbon dioxide back into the air. Large-scale reforestation can help store so much carbon back in the soil that it has the potential to remove all the excess carbon dioxide in our atmosphere, allowing the Earth's climate to come back into balance. Third, trees cool the atmosphere by cleaning it around city and industrial zones. Air pollution molecules combine with water vapor, covering in what's called a humid haze, trapping in more of the sun heat. Many trees breathe out both water vapor and friendly bacteria that assist in the formation of clouds. These bacteria trigger the water vapor and air pollution molecules to cluster into droplets that then fall to the ground. The fourth, trees convert the sun's energy into light. Since sunlight powers photosynthesis, converting carbon dioxide and water into the building blocks of plant matter by creating oxygen. This plant matter becomes food for animals and energy travels up the food chain. Planting trees is a huge part of the solution to climate change, knowing that trees maintain our atmosphere, keep the earth cool by shading it with clouds and canopies, regulate much of the planet's freshwater cycle, and create the building block of our life. We simply have to be imbued at the amazing service that trees provide us. We can also understand that further decline of our world's forests is not a direction we can afford to go in.
To summarize, the air pollution problem can be reduced by 1. Using less personal car. 2. using renewable energy. 3. Decreasing burning trashes. 4. Planting more trees.
Oh, I got it. So we should stop this problem together for a better life of the next generation.